Right, so by each update I mean major updates and drops from 1.0 onwards. I refuse to do all the minor versions. It would be obscure, but not very interesting. In Alpha 1.2 in 2010, fireballs were added for ghast to shoot out, yet they used the snowball texture. This stayed until 1.0, an entire year later. Silly ghast, don't they know they're supposed to eat the snowballs? That's why they're so unhappy. They were born throwing up their favourite food. They're plumb and traumatized, guys. That's horrible. Just like no longer being able to change text color and style with this symbol and a corresponding character, as it's been deprecated. But when it was added in 1.1, it was not deprecated, and you could use it, because it was added, obviously. Nowadays though, it largely does not work on Java, and I believe it doesn't work with all UI on Bedrock. You can no longer type the formatting code symbol in the chat, which is a shame, but I kinda get it. The chat would look like a mess if people could choose their own colours and formatting. Also, coincidentally, this was done in the same snapshot, 12W04A, where the Afrikaans translation calls the player a racial slur in place of the single player button on the title screen, which, to be clear, was due to an abuse of the open translation system where community volunteers could submit translations. Mojang was not calling users racial slurs. This was not them, and it was removed in the next snapshot. If you change your skin after 1.8 released, 1.3.1, which is the full release of 1.3, 1.3 itself was a pre-release of 1.3 for some reason. But if you change your skin after 1.8 release, this is the oldest version to still show that skin. In any prior version, your skin will be the last skin you used prior to the release of 1.8. Despite the second Secret Friday update adding saddles and rideable pigs, 1.4, released 2 years after, is the first version to let you control them with the addition of the carrot on a stick. Personally, I think we should have done the same with horses and waited 2 years to require a golden carrot on a stick to control them. This joke is a commentary with deeper meaning, I just don't know what that meaning is. For some reason, 1.5 specifically, and none of its subsequent minor releases, is mistaken as a snapshot in the launcher for Java, despite, you know, not being a snapshot, and instead being the major update which added stuff like, I don't know, hoppers, droppers, the block of redstone, and the comparator? We should not disrespect the comparator, it's a very useful component. Or so I'm told. I haven't worked out how it works yet, but that's besides the point. Originally added on March 31st, 2011 as an April Fool's joke to only spawn on the day, the lock chest now, in 1.6, uses a missing texture due to changes in how textures are stored. Also, the lock chest just crashes the game now because it has no associated textures. Lock in lock chest, and stop crashing out. Skibbity. Z equals x minus mu on sigma. See, I'm young and cool and know the slang of the youth, and how to find the z-score of a normal distribution in statistics. In Snapshot 13W37A, or maybe not, the wiki is unsure and I am definitely not checking every 1.7 snapshot. So in some snapshot for 1.7, block 95, the lock chest's alphanumeric ID, was set to Minecraft:chest _locked April Fools _super old legacy we should not even have this, before being replaced with stained glass in 13W41A. Since 1.3.1, the /kill command printed ouch, that looked like it hurt. However, this was replaced with killed player name in 1.8, which is reasonable, but not very fun. But I am all for this change, so I guess I'm not very fun. You are no longer forced to delete your hardcore world upon death. This was done as you can now go in Spectator when you die. However, Spectator mode was added in 1.8. If it was added in 1.9, this would just be an extension of the addition of Spectator mode in my opinion, so I wouldn't class it as obscure or niche. See? I really care about you.
Parasocial alert!
Magma blocks were added with no mobs able to spawn on them. However, understandably there's the exception of magma cubes, zombie pigmen, and squid. I have no idea why the squid is an exception, because the other two make sense to spawn on naturally generated magma blocks, but squid don't spawn in the nether. And magma blocks weren't in the overworld in 1.10. They only generate in oceans in 1.13. Heck, they evaporate water sources above them until 1.13. I have to assume this is an oversight and I'm blowing it out of proportion for content, and I'm wasting our time by continuing this sentence. The beam that appears when an entity goes through an end gateway was changed from yellow to magenta, matching the beam color from when the gateway spawns. I have no idea why it was yellow before. I guess 'cause of endstone? 1.11 let /give and replace item ignore stack size restrictions, but 1.12 made /give and replace item enforce stack size restrictions for some reason. This was even brought up on the bug tracker, but Grum confirms it works as intended. I don't see why. Why can't I /give myself illegal stack sizes? Air variants were added, Cave and Void, which function identically to regular air. Cave air spawns in, well, it's self-explanatory, and Void air is used for blocks above max height and below minimum height, along with in unloaded chunks, though this was exclusively on Java, with Bedrock only having one type of air. But they had 3 types of salmon before Java, so who really won 1.13? No one, because it does not have to be, it mustn't be, a competition. Protection enchants, only on Java and presumably accidentally, were made no longer mutually exclusive. This was later reverted in 1.14.3, however any armor with multiple protection enchants keeps them past this version. A wax block and crystallized honey were added to the game files in 19W34A for 1.15, yet removed in 19W42A as they were added to the files by accident. 1.16 adds self-esteem issues to Minecraft, resulting in the sexy splash screen reading moderately attractive. Don't sell yourself short, Minecraft. To me, you're highly attractive, but not in a sexual manner, so the change was warranted. Honestly, and more seriously, I'm surprised the text lasted so long. The text was added in InDev 0.31201000202 on February 2nd, 2012, almost certainly by Notch himself, though only removed in 1.16 pre-release 3 on June 10th, 2020, 8.5 years of there being a chance for the main menu to read sexy, and no one thought they should change that? Due to Caves and Cliffs being split into 2 updates, most of the world generation changes were removed in 21W15A. However, a data pack was provided to re-enable these changes, and in future snapshots the data pack was updated. Also, I find that not super interesting, so here's a less obscure but more interesting fact. 1.17 adds the most new blocks into Java, with 103, surpassing 1.16's measly 74. The 3 types of caves added to generate are cheese, spaghetti, and noodle. Yummy. The wiki lists this citation to the patch notes for 21W06A. However, this only adds and names cheese and spaghetti caves. Noodle caves were added and named 11 weeks later in the patch notes for 21W17A. So, if there's a Minecraft wiki editor watching this, add an additional citation to this one hyper-specific cave variant thing. Please. And thank you. This splash text, translating to Hello Russia, was removed in snapshot 22W17A. I have no idea why they would do this in 2022. 1.20 was the first update since 1.16.2 to remove Herobrine, or at least claim to in the patch notes. I thought it would have cut by now. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Oh, so he's left behind me, isn't he? Bats and Pots was not considered a drop on release, but only after the drop system was announced. This drop added a new bat model and pot functionality. What else do you want me to talk about? That the pots were added to the Redstone tab of the creative inventory? That's boring! Let me move on to Armored Paws. In a concept art for the armadillo, 5 ideas for other colours are shown. That's all. Now for 1.21, the tricky trials. The Obsidian End platform now generates during world generation rather than only when the end portal is used. How interesting. Just kidding. The obscure fact is instead that the Obsidian platform no longer deletes the 3 blocks above it when a player enters the end, but instead breaks the blocks as if a player had broken them. So essentially, the blocks drop their items now, so if you place something there, they'll be safe.
I am back with the milk!
He didn't leave me behind after all!
Well, I did leave you behind, but it was just to fetch some milk. Anyway, time for 1.21.4 on Java and 1.21.50 on Bedrock, the Garden Awakens! Who better to talk about the spooky drop than me, Herodot Bridestine? Sham forgot this until now, but Village is scared of the creaking for some reason. I find fear hilarious, which, you know, is why I choose to inflict it on innocent Minecraft players. Spring to life! This video really sprung to life when I started narrating it, and the run-on sentences doesn't make a low iron soul feel lightheaded at all. Did you know that in this update, camels finally spawn in deserts and not just in villages? That's not an obscure fact. Sham just really likes that feature because it was stupid to make them only spawn in villages.
No, seriously, whose idea was that? Likewise, whose idea was it to turn Herobrine into a yelling lunatic?
This was all your idea.
The bit's over now. Far too energetic. If it's beloved, he can, come back another time. I don't know. Anyway, the curse of binding now only works on saddles worn by horse and donkey types and camels. Pigs and striders, however, only get curse of binding saddle functionality in Chase the Skies. Carrots can now be fed to horses, but only for taming, healing, and growing them. Strange that this wasn't a thing, to be honest. Carrots are like stereotypical feed it to horse stuff, you know? Right? Am I crazy? I'm not a horse, so I don't really know. Also, tangent, I don't know why horses only breed with golden food, but sure, okay, I guess. Java added an inverse mouse X setting to invert the mouse on the X axis. Cool option for people who want it, but those people are freaks. No, you're not a freak, inverted mouse user. I would never call anybody a freak for doing something that makes them more comfortable and harms no one.
You just did!
No, but it's a joke, so it's fine.
Saying harmful things is a joke can still cause harm by reinforcing negative stereotypes, among other reasons probably, that I'm overlooking.
Herobrine, I thought this bit was over.
You can't blame an artist for having a streak of inspiration.
Moving on to Mounts of Mayhem. Bats no longer spawn more frequently and in higher light levels through October 20th to November 3rd, removing some Halloween spirit. I would make a joke about how horrible that is, but generally, down under, we don't really care that much for Halloween. I don't know why I put on an Australian accent, because I do just have one. Anyway, that's all. If this video does well and people like it, I could do a part 2, but it will definitely be a bit lower in quality, as most of the interesting stuff would have been said in this video. I had a couple extra points, but I'd need to find a bunch more. The Herobrine bit was really weird, but comment if you'd like to see it again. Anyway, go watch my Bed Wars video please. I think it turned out really well, but it is also my least viewed video ever. Statistically, you won't click it, or there's a good chance you've seen it if you stayed this long, but regardless, thanks for being here with me. It means the world.